You are on HOA Karma Files. The tow hook was inches away. My name is Alex Carter. I am a firefighter on rotating shifts, and I am standing in my driveway in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, watching a woman with a clipboard measure a pile of snow like it is a crime scene. She is on her knees in the slush, ruler in one gloved hand, phone camera in the other, and she is taking photos of the berm at the end of my driveway like she is documenting a felony. Her name is Susan Thomas, but everyone calls her Diane. She is the Fines and Enforcement Coordinator for the Timberline Whiteout Terrace Association, and she brags about collections the way some people brag about marathon times. Right now, she is yelling at me about snow placement. I moved here 2 years ago because the commute to the station was clean and the neighborhood was quiet. The HOA seemed normal at first. Then winter hit, and Diane rolled out her enforcement playbook. The stakes are simple. I need a spotless record because background checks at work are random and thorough, and any legal mess, even civil, gets flagged. Diane knows that. She has known it since I mentioned it at a meeting last year. Now she is using it. She stands up, brushes slush off her knees, and points the ruler at me like a sword. You cannot pile snow on common property, Alex. This berm is over the property line. You are in violation. I have photos, measurements, and a timestamp. The fine is $200, and if you do not move it by tomorrow morning, it goes up $50 per day. I stay calm. Diane, the plow service I hired dumped that berm there at 4 in the morning. I was asleep. I did not touch it. She cuts me off. Your contractor, your responsibility. You signed the agreement. You are liable for any damage or obstruction they cause. I called your plow service this morning and told them if they do this again, the HOA will blacklist them from every property in the association. She smiles when she says it, thin and sharp. I feel my jaw tighten. That is contractor intimidation, Diane. You cannot threaten vendors like that. She leans forward, ruler still pointed at me. This conversation is not a debate, it is a directive. You will move the snow, you will pay the fine, or you will face a hearing. Your choice. I step back and pull out my phone. I am recording this, Diane. She does not flinch. Good. Then you will have a record of your violation and my official notice. She turns and walks toward her car, a silver sedan with a rolling file cart visible through the back window. That cart goes everywhere with her. It is packed with binders, printed notices, and enforcement logs. She calls it her winter compliance kit. I have seen her pull it out at meetings, flipping through tabs like a prosecutor. I watch her drive off, then I call my plow guy. He does not pick up. I text him. No response. I call again an hour later. Voicemail. By evening, I get a message. Alex, sorry man, the HOA called me and said if I do your property again, they will report me to the county for improper snow disposal. I cannot afford that fight. I am done. Good luck. I stare at the message. Diane just cut off my plow service in one phone call. The next morning, I shovel the berm myself. It takes 2 hours. My shoulders burn, my back aches, and the snow keeps falling, recovering the path I just cleared. I finish, take photos with timestamps, and send them to the HOA portal. I get an auto reply. Your submission has been received and will be reviewed within 5 business days. The fine clock is already running. That afternoon, Diane shows up again. She has the cart with her this time, wheeling it across the icy walkway like she is making a house call. She stops at the edge of my driveway and opens a binder. Alex, I reviewed your photos. The snow was moved, but you damaged common property in the process. There are scrape marks on the curb. You must pay for repairs immediately, or you will be charged a daily assessment until the work is completed. I walk closer. What scrape marks? She points with her pen, which has a little flag sticker on the clip. There. And there. Those are fresh gouges. You were careless. I look. The curb has chips and cracks, but they are old. The concrete is weathered and stained. I have photos from last summer that show the same damage. I pull them up on my phone and hold it out. Diane barely glances at it. Irrelevant. The damage is your responsibility as of today. You are being billed $300 for curb repair. If you refuse, the amount will increase by $50 per day until you comply. She closes the binder and wheels the cart back toward her car. I call a neighbor, Marcus, who rents a unit 2 streets over. He is a tenant advocate and knows how to file complaints with the county and the state. I tell him what is happening. He listens, then sighs. Alex. She is building a paper trail to justify a lien. She is hitting you with violations fast, so you cannot keep up. You need to document everything. Every notice, every conversation, every photo. Build your own timeline. I start that night. I print emails, screenshot portal messages, pull weather reports from the day of the plow berm, and organize receipts from the plow service. I create a clean timeline packet with dates, photos, and a summary. I do not have all the pieces yet, but I am building it. The next day, Diane escalates. She files a report with the management company claiming I caused a slip hazard by not salting my walkway properly. A neighbor supposedly filed a complaint. I do not know who. The notice says I have 72 hours to prove I salted, or I will be fined another $200. I check my records. I salted 3 times that week. I have receipts from the hardware store and photos of the salt spreader on my porch. I upload everything to the portal. No response. 2 days later, I get a new notice. Alex, due to your continued non-compliance and failure to address multiple violations, the association is authorized to take corrective action on your behalf. Effective immediately, you are subject to emergency enforcement under the Winter Safety Protocol. Any vehicle parked in violation of snow removal access may be towed without further notice. We can tow first and explain later. That is how enforcement works. I read the line 3 times. It is Diane's voice in my head. I walk outside. My truck is parked in my driveway, exactly where it always is. There is no violation. I take photos anyway, time-stamped and geotagged. That afternoon, Marcus texts me. Check the group chat. Someone leaked the board minutes from last month. I open the file. There is a line buried in the enforcement section. Board approved retroactive winter notice dating to align fine schedules with contractor billing cycles. I screenshot it and send it to Marcus. He calls me immediately. Alex, that is fraud. They are backdating notices to manufacture late fees. You need to take this to the management company, not the local rep. Go straight to the regional supervisor. I look up the contact info and draft an email. I attach the leaked minutes, my timeline packet, and a summary of Diane's threats. I do not send it yet. I am waiting for one more piece. The next morning, I wake up to a noise outside. I look out the window. There is a tow truck in front of my house, yellow lights flashing, hook lowered toward my truck. I throw on my jacket and boots and run outside. A driver in a reflective vest is attaching the winch cable. I shout. Hey, what are you doing? That is my truck. He looks up, startled. HOA called us, said this vehicle is in violation and needs to be removed. I walk closer, pulling out my phone. There is no violation. My truck is in my driveway, on my property. Who authorized this? He shrugs. Lady named Diane. She has got the paperwork. I film the scene. The winch cable is stretched tight across the frame, hooked to my front axle. The driver looks uncomfortable. Look, man, I am just doing my job. Take it up with the HOA. I shake my head. No, I am taking it up with you. You are about to tow a vehicle without proper authorization. That is theft. He pauses, hand on the winch controls. I pull out my timeline packet, printed and stapled, and flip to the key page. I show him the evidence. Photos of my truck in the same spot for 2 years. Never ticketed. Never towed. The HOA bylaws clearly state that driveways are private property and not subject to towing without owner consent or a court order. The driver reads it, then looks at the cable, then back at me. He pulls out his phone and calls dispatch. Yeah, it is me. I am at the Timberline address. The homeowner is saying the tow is unauthorized. He has got documentation. I need confirmation before I proceed. He listens, nods, then hangs up. Dispatch says I need a signed authorization form from the HOA with a board member's signature and a valid violation notice number. I do not have that. Just a phone call from Diane. I take a breath. Then you need to unhook my truck and leave. He hesitates, then nods. He releases the cable and raises the hook. Sorry for the trouble. He drives off. 10 minutes later, Diane pulls up. She gets out of her car, file cart in tow, and marches toward me. Where is the tow truck? I tell her the driver left. She goes red. You obstructed enforcement. That is a violation in itself. I will have you fined for interference. I cross my arms. The driver refused to tow because you did not have proper authorization. He said he needed a signed form and a valid violation notice. You did not have either. You did not have either. She pulls out her phone. I am calling another tow company. I step forward. Go ahead. I will show them the same documentation. And I will file a police report for attempted vehicle theft if they try. She stops, phone in hand, staring at me. You cannot do that. I nod. Yes, I can. And I will. She keeps calling different tow drivers like she is speed dialing chaos. I hear her on the phone, voice tight and clipped. Yes, I need a tow. Timberline Whiteout Terrace. Driveway violation. Immediate removal. The first company asks for the authorization paperwork. She hesitates, then hangs up. She tries another. Same result. By the third call, she is yelling into the phone. This is an emergency enforcement action under HOA bylaws. You do not need a court order. The company refuses. She hangs up and glares at me. This is not over. That night, I get a message from Marcus. Alex, you need to come to my place. I have something you need to see. I drive over. He hands me a flash drive. This is from someone on the board who is tired of Diane's enforcement stunts. It has got emails, internal memos, and photos. There is a folder labeled Staged Snow Photos. I open it. There are images of snow piles that look artificially arranged, taken at odd angles, with metadata showing they were shot weeks before the violations they were attached to. Some of the photos have Diane's phone number in the EXIF data. Marcus leans forward. She has been manufacturing evidence, ordering contractors to pile snow in specific spots, then photographing it and backdating the notices. The board member who leaked this said Diane threatened to quit if they questioned her methods, so they let it slide. I copy the files onto my laptop and add them to my evidence packet. This is the trump card. I let the meeting move on, because my move was not a speech, it was a document. I send the full packet to the management company regional supervisor with a subject line that reads urgent, evidence of fraud and contractor intimidation by Timberline HOA enforcement coordinator. I hit send. The next day, I get a call from the regional supervisor. Mr. Carter, I reviewed your submission. This is serious. I am scheduling an emergency audit of the Timberline enforcement records and suspending all active fines pending review. Diane Thomas will be placed on administrative leave effective immediately. I feel the weight lift. Thank you. She continues. I also want you to know that we have had complaints about Ms. Thomas before, but nothing this concrete. Your documentation made the difference. If you have any additional concerns, please send them directly to me. I hang up and text Marcus. It is done. He replies with a thumbs up. That afternoon, Diane shows up at my door one last time. She does not have the cart. She looks smaller without it. Alex, I am here to inform you that all pending fines have been suspended. The board is conducting a review. I nod. I know. She hesitates, then adds, this conversation is not a debate, it is a directive. I almost laugh. That line does not work anymore, Diane. She turns and walks back to her car. I watch her leave. If you are enjoying this story, hit that like button and subscribe for more HOA chaos. The emergency audit takes 2 weeks. The regional supervisor brings in an outside consultant to review every enforcement action Diane processed over the last year. They find a pattern. Notices backdated to align with billing cycles. Fines assessed without proper documentation. Contractors threatened into compliance. Photos staged to justify violations. The board holds a special meeting. I attend along with Marcus and a dozen other neighbors who have been hit with questionable fines. The consultant presents the findings. Diane sits in the corner, arms crossed, silent. The board votes unanimously to freeze enforcement pending a policy rewrite. They also vote to strip Diane of access to the portal admin tools. She is still on the board technically, but she cannot issue notices or fines anymore. One board member resigns in protest. Another calls for Diane's removal entirely. The motion passes. Diane stands up, grabs her coat, and walks out. No speech, no defense. Just gone. 2 days later, Marcus calls me. Alex, you need to hear this. The tow company Diane used filed a complaint with the HOA. They said she provided false authorization documents, and they are blacklisting the association until the board can prove they have proper procedures in place. That means no tow vendor will touch the property until the policy is fixed. The board is scrambling because another storm is coming and they need contractors for snow removal. I laugh. It is the first time I have laughed in weeks. Marcus continues, and it gets better. The county opened an investigation into the staged snow photos. If they prove she falsified evidence for financial gain, it is fraud. Civil and maybe criminal. I sit down, phone pressed to my ear. How did the county find out? Marcus pauses. I may have forwarded your evidence packet to the code enforcement office. I grin. Thank you. He laughs. Anytime. The storm hits 3 days later. 8 inches of snow overnight, and the HOA cannot get a plow service to touch the property because the tow vendor blacklist scared everyone off. The main roads are a mess. The private streets inside Timberline are worse. Residents are stuck. The board sends out an emergency email asking for patience while they secure new contractors. I shovel my own driveway again, salt the walkway, and take photos. This time, it is for me, not for Diane. That afternoon, I get a call from the management company regional supervisor. Mr. Carter, I wanted to give you an update. The board has formally apologized for the enforcement overreach and agreed to refund all fines issued under Ms. Thomas's authority over the past 18 months. You will receive a check within 30 days. Additionally, the HOA is adopting a new enforcement review process with third-party oversight to prevent this from happening again. I thank her and hang up. The refund check arrives 2 weeks later. It is more than I expected. Turns out, Diane hit me with fees I did not even know about. Late charges, administrative costs, emergency action surcharges. All reversed. A month later, the board holds a town hall to discuss the new enforcement policies. I attend. So does Marcus. Diane is not there. The board president, a retired teacher named Karen Phillips, stands at the front and addresses the room. We owe you all an apology. The enforcement practices under the previous coordinator were unacceptable. We failed to provide oversight, and that failure hurt this community. Moving forward, all fines will require board approval before they are issued. All notices will include an appeal process with a neutral third party. And all enforcement actions will be documented and audited quarterly. The room is quiet. Then, someone raises a hand. What happens to Diane? Karen pauses. Ms. Thomas resigned from the board last week. She is no longer affiliated with the association in any capacity. A few people clap. I stay quiet. It is over. Spring comes. The snow melts. The damaged curb is still there, chips and cracks and all. The HOA never billed me for repairs. I get a new plow service, a company from out of town that does not care about HOA politics. The first time it snows the following winter, they clear my driveway at 5 in the morning and leave a neat berm at the edge. No one measures it, no one takes photos, no one calls. I run into Marcus at the grocery store in late November. He grins when he sees me. Alex, you hear the news? The county closed the investigation into Diane. Turns out, she settled. Paid back the HOA for fraudulent fines and agreed to never serve on a board again. I raise an eyebrow. Settled? How much? He shrugs. Do not know the exact number, but I heard it was 5 figures. I whistle. That is a lot of collections she bragged about. He laughs. Karma, man. We check out and head to the parking lot. The air is cold, but it is not snowing yet. The sky is clear. I think about the timeline. The early morning shoveling snow, The photos, the documentation, the calls to Marcus, the refusal to back down when the tow truck showed up. I think about Diane kneeling in the slush with her ruler, so sure she had me cornered. I think about her smug smile vanishing when the room turned on her, when the board voted to freeze enforcement, when the tow vendor refused to work with the HOA anymore, when the county opened the investigation. I think about the rolling file cart she wheeled everywhere, the enforcement logs she kept like trophies, the compliance kit she used to intimidate neighbors. All of it useless now. The winter rules are still on the books, but they are enforced differently. Warnings first. Appeals built in. No more clipboard measurements at dawn. No more threats to contractors. No more backdated notices. The HOA is quieter now. Boring even. That is fine with me. I park my truck in the driveway every night and sleep without checking my phone for violation notices. The property line is still the property line, and the snow still falls, but no one is measuring it anymore. One Saturday in December, I see a for sale sign go up 2 houses down. I recognize the address. It is Diane's house. Marcus texts me a photo of the listing. Guess who is moving? I reply. Good riddance. He sends back a laughing emoji. The house sells in 3 weeks. I never see Diane again. The new neighbors are a young couple with a dog. They wave when they see me shoveling. I wave back. It is normal. It is boring. It is exactly what I wanted when I moved here. The HOA board runs another election in the spring. Karen Phillips stays on as president. 2 new members join, both promising transparency and fair enforcement. I do not run. I do not want to. I just want to live here without fighting about snow. The timeline packet I built is still on my laptop, backed up in 3 places. I keep it just in case. You never know when you will need proof. But I have not opened it in months. I do not need to. The refund check is cashed. The fines are reversed. The enforcement freeze is holding. It is done. I think about the moment the tow driver unhooked my truck and drove away. I think about the look on his face when I showed him the documentation, the pause before he called dispatch, the moment he decided I was right and Diane was wrong. That was the turning point. Not the audit, not the refund, not the board vote. It was the moment a tow vendor refused to act without proper authorization, the moment the enforcement machine broke down because someone asked for proof. That was when I knew I had won. Diane tried to bury me in fines and paperwork and threats, but she forgot one thing. I had a clean timeline, and she did not. I had photos, receipts, weather reports, and timestamps. She had staged snow pictures and backdated notices. When it came down to it, my documentation was real, and hers was not. That made all the difference. The snow falls again in January. I hire the plow service, and they clear the driveway like clockwork. The berm piles up at the edge, same as always. No one complains, no one measures, no one calls. The HOA sends out a reminder about winter safety, but it is generic. Shovel your walks, salt your steps. Keep your gutters clear. No threats, no fines, no enforcement coordinator with a ruler. Just common sense. I follow the rules because they make sense, not because I am afraid of Diane showing up with her cart. That is how it should have been from the start. Marcus and I grab coffee one afternoon at a place downtown. He brings up the HOA drama, laughing about the staged snow photos. Man, I still cannot believe she thought she would get away with that. I shrug. She almost did. If the board member had not leaked those files, she would still be hitting people with bogus fines. He nods. True, but you built the case. You had everything documented. That is what made it stick. I take a sip of coffee. I just did not want to lose my job over a snow pile. He grins. Well, you did not. And you took down the compliance queen in the process. We finish our drinks and head out. The cold air hits my face, sharp and clean. It feels good. I check the HOA portal one last time before I stop logging in regularly. There is a notice about the new Enforcement Review Board, a link to the updated bylaws, and a reminder about the spring community cleanup. No fines, no violations, no emergency actions. I close the browser and do not open it again for weeks. The silence is nice. No emails, no calls, no knocks on the door at dawn. Just a quiet neighborhood where the rules are enforced fairly and people are not afraid of their own HOA. That is all I ever wanted. I think about the police incident number I kept in my back pocket, the one I never had to use. It was from a prior HOA trespass attempt last year when Diane tried to enter someone's backyard to photograph a fence violation. The homeowner called the police, and they issued a warning. I had the incident report saved, ready to deploy if Diane pushed too far. But I did not need it. The timeline packet and the staged photo evidence were enough. I showed the evidence to the management company regional supervisor instead of the local rep, and that changed everything. Going over Diane's head was the right move. The local rep would have protected her. The regional supervisor had no loyalty to her and every reason to shut down a fraud liability. The lawsuit threat never materialized. Diane could have sued for defamation or harassment, but she did not. My guess is her lawyer told her to settle quietly and move on. She had no defense. The staged photos, the backdated notices, the contractor threats, all of it was documented. She could not win in court, and she knew it. So she resigned, paid the settlement, and left. Clean break. No drama. Just gone. I respect that, in a way. She could have dragged it out, fought every charge, made it ugly for everyone. But she did not. Maybe she realized she was wrong. Maybe she just wanted it over. Either way, I did not have to see her again, and that was enough for me. The neighborhood moves on. New dramas pop up. Small things. Someone's trash cans are out too long. Someone's holiday lights stay up past February. The board sends polite reminders. No fines, no threats. Just reminders. It is boring. It is normal. It is what an HOA should be. I run into the tow truck driver a few months later at a gas station. He recognizes me and walks over. "Hey, you are the guy from Timberline, right? The one who stopped the tow?" I nod. "Yeah, that is me." He grins. "Man, I am glad you did. That lady called us 6 more times trying to get someone else to tow your truck. We flagged her number in our system. Dispatch would not even take her calls after that." I laugh. "Seriously?" He nods. "Yeah. She burned every vendor in town. No one wanted to deal with her." Word got around fast. I thank him and head back to my truck. It is funny how fast reputations spread in the contractor world. Diane thought she could bully vendors into compliance, but all she did was blacklist herself. The tow company refused to work with the HOA until the board could prove they had proper procedures in place, and that forced the policy rewrite. Diane destroyed her own enforcement system by pushing too hard. That is the karma beat I will remember. Her smug smile vanishing when the room turned on her, when the board voted to freeze enforcement, when the vendors refused her calls, when the county opened the investigation. She tried to bury me, and instead, she buried herself. I finish the gas and drive home. The driveway is clear. The walkway is salted. The snow is piled neatly at the edge, right where it belongs. No violations. No fines. No clipboard measurements. Just a quiet house in a quiet neighborhood where the HOA does not run my life anymore. I park the truck, grab my gear, and head inside. The fire station calls. I have a shift in the morning. I pack my bag, set my alarm, and go to bed. No stress, no checking my phone for violation notices, no wondering if Diane is going to show up at dawn with her ruler. Just sleep. Clean, easy, normal sleep. That is the win. Not the refund check, not the audit, not the board vote. The win is sleeping through the night without worrying about an HOA enforcement coordinator with a grudge and a file cart. The win is parking my truck in my driveway and knowing it will still be there in the morning. The win is living in my house without fighting about snow. That is what I wanted, and that is what I got. It took months, a timeline packet, a flash drive full of evidence, and a tow truck driver who asked for proof before he hooked my vehicle. But it worked. The HOA froze enforcement pending a policy rewrite. Karen got stripped of access to the portal admin tools. The tow vendor refused to work with the association until the board could prove they had proper procedures. Diane tried to control the neighborhood with fear and paperwork, But in the end, a tow vendor refusing to act without proper authorization brought the whole thing down. I wake up the next morning and the snow is falling again. Soft, steady flakes that cover the driveway in a thin white layer. I drink my coffee and watch it fall. No panic, no rushing outside to shovel before someone measures it. Just coffee and snow and quiet. The plow service will clear it later. If they do not, I will shovel it myself. Either way, no one is going to find me. No one is going to threaten my job. No one is going to show up with a ruler and a clipboard. That chapter is over. I finish my coffee, grab my jacket, and head to the station. The shift is long, but smooth. No major calls, just routine checks and drills. I get home late, park the truck, and walk inside. The driveway is clear. The plow service came through. I did not even have to ask. That is how it should be. Simple, reliable, normal. No drama, no enforcement, no HOA war. Just a clear driveway and a quiet night. I sit down, kick off my boots, and realize I have not thought about Diane in days. That is the real victory. Not the refund, not the audit, not the blacklist. The real victory is forgetting she exists. The real victory is living my life without her shadow hanging over it. She is gone, the enforcement freeze is holding, and the neighborhood is boring again. That is exactly what I needed. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.